I call this meeting of the Schertz-Cibolo-Universal City Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called. A notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The time is now 6 o'clock. Roll call.
All board members are present.
Pledge of allegiance. Oh, Dr. Gibson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Westbrook and guests and trustees. Tonight, we're honored to have Cooper Sale here with his principal, Ms. Bristow, who will further introduce him.
Good evening. Good evening, members of the board, President Westbrook, and Superintendent Dr. Gibson. I'm Clary Bristow, principal at Sipple Elementary, and I would like to introduce Cooper Sale, who's a fourth grade student at Sipple. He is a talented artist who loves to draw. He exemplifies the traits of a graduate and is a dynamic leader because he enjoys helping classmates by motivating peers to persist when faced with a challenge. I love that. His favorite subject is math, and he enjoys video gaming in his free time. He's joined by his mom, Miss Sale. Please stand. Cooper will be leading us in the pledges this evening.
Mom, you're welcome to come around here where Mr. Suarez is, if you don't want to film the back of his head. Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now for the Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving.
Good job, Cooper.
First of all, thanks everyone for coming. And if we don't get another opportunity, happy holidays. Thanks for coming. Oh, I do have one comment though, because I like to keep it brief, is Mr. Simmons told me to stop eating so many cookies because at my age, they're hard to come off. Yeah. Man,
Hey, Vernon, he's younger than me,
yeah. Wow. That
I
means I'm gonna
know
have to
things
double up.
about you.
Now I'm going to ask him. I'm going to have to double up now. So, yep. Vice President's recitation of mission vision.
We have the oath of office, the ceremonial oath of office first. Item number 4,
yes,
or number
yeah.
6. Yeah.
At my age, I need glasses.
So while they're getting together, the trustees, actually all 3 were unopposed and the election was canceled. We're going to ask the 3 of you to go down to the dais and line up in front of Ms. Ettram. A few weeks ago, they were sworn in because they had so many board meetings the last month. And so tonight is a ceremonial swearing in and photo op. But just so everybody knows, they were sworn in a couple of weeks ago, but we're going to do a ceremonial one tonight. Yeah, we can give them a round of applause for being unopposed.
Okay, yeah, if you could just stand there and repeat after me. Raise your right hand. Ready? Okay. I state your name, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of trustee of the Schertz-Cibolo-Universal City Independent School District of the state of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God. Congratulations.
Yeah, go ahead and start.
I'm going to go ahead and do the Vice President's recitation. Our motto is a district with passion and purpose. Our mission is SCUCISD is a diverse community founded in trust and transparency, commits to empower all students to fulfill lifelong potential through inspiring learning experiences. Our vision is to inspire, innovate, and excel. Our values are leadership, character, commitment, service, and learning. And we have 4 priorities. All graduates will be college and our career and our military ready, high performing and engaged workforce, highly satisfied students and parents and community, and efficient district and campus operations.
Now we will have the board recitation of district belief statements.
We believe all students have the capacity to learn and excel, and we believe a safe, secure, and supportive environment is paramount to learning.
We believe in living our core values of leadership, character, commitment, service, and learning. We believe engaging, interactive, and authentic teaching creates empowered, inspired learners prepared for our changing world.
We believe technology is a relevant tool that enhances learning in and beyond the classroom.
We believe in a professional learning community that fosters collaboration for continuous improvement. We believe transparent, clear, and timely communication among all is critical to success.
We believe measures of success go beyond standardized testing, and we believe that public education is defined by the local community with limited state involvement.
Now we will have the vice president's overview of good governance indicators and board member ethics.
So each month we try to highlight one of our board ethics and our good governance that we follow. And our board ethics, this is our commitment to service, and we've really done that this month. I will focus my attention on fulfilling the board's responsibilities of goal setting, policy making, evaluation. I will diligently prepare for and attend board meetings. I will avoid personal involvement activities the board has delegated to the superintendent, and I will seek continuing education that will enhance my ability to fulfill my duties effectively. On our good governance for this month is that our board monitors strategic plan implementation and district success in a formal scheduled manner. You'll see some of that tonight.
Thank you. Dr. Gibson, recognition of student.
Yeah, tonight, we're honored to have Courtney Hargis, a 12th grader from Clements High School, and Jenna Magnuson, a 12th grader from Steele High School, here as our student representatives. We're going to ask them to head on down to the podium, and their administrators are going to introduce them, and then we look forward to hearing from them. And they're doing rock, paper, scissors right now to decide who goes first.
Do you have any parents here? Are you going to, yes, are you going to videotape it or no? No? Okay. I'm just going to hold it for you.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, and members of the board. I would like to introduce to you an exceptional young woman who I've had the pleasure to know for several years now. Jenna Magnuson is a senior at Steele High School and is representing the National Honor Society tonight. She's accompanied by her father, Brett Magnuson, and her mother, Lisa Magnuson. You'll stand. Jenna has been in the SCUC district since the 3rd grade, where she attended Watts Elementary. Then she attended Jordan Intermediate and Dobie Junior High. Jenna has held many different leadership positions during her high school career. During her junior year, she held the position of Key Club President and was one of Steele tennis team's co-captains. She is currently the president of the Steele chapter of the National Honor Society. Jenna was also chosen to be a part of Steele's medical assisting internship to potentially gain her medical assisting certification. Jenna has accrued many service hours working with the Key Club and NHS. She enjoys volunteering in different ways that both organizations have afforded her. Her belief about service to others is that it is up to us to help each other because it is the right thing to do, and it is rewarding emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Jenna is in the top 7% of her graduating class. She has been accepted into Texas A&M University, Stephen F. Austin University, and Texas State University. After graduating from Steele, Jenna is planning on attending Texas A&M University, where she wants to complete a major in kinesiology with a minor in nutrition. Once she finishes her bachelor's degree in kinesiology, she plans to attend physical therapy school to become a pediatric physical therapist. As you can see, Jenna embodies all the traits of a graduate.
Thank you, Mrs. Simmons, for introducing me. Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, and members of the board. My name is Jenna Magnuson, and I would like to thank you for allowing me to come speak tonight about Steele's National Honor Society. Steele's National Honor Society is active in community service within our community and other schools in and outside of our district. We participate in service to our local humane societies, local elementary schools for their math nights and other events, and various activities around the community as needed. We have just finished collecting food for local families for Thanksgiving. We're also donating money to our Student Services Counselor to complete meal purchases for families in our area. Throughout the month of November, NHS hosts a Do Good December around the Steele campus. We collect various necessities such as food or toiletries and donate them to local nursing homes or families. We will also be hosting a food drive for families in need for some extra help over the holiday season. Being president of the National Honor Society has helped further my love for helping others. I have always felt like I needed to give back due to all the people who give so much for me. This club has helped strengthen my belief in community service, and for that, I will continue to help others in my future. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, and members of the board. I'm Julie McClellan, Assistant Principal at Samuel Clemens High School, and I'm pleased to be here with you this evening to introduce our November Student of the Month, Courtney Hargis. Courtney is here tonight with her mother, Rosemary Sablon, a previous SCUCISD Transportation Department employee. Ms. Sablon, could you please stand and be recognized? Courtney is also being escorted by her FFA sponsor, Corey Heath. Ms. Heath, can you please stand and be recognized? Thank you both for being here tonight to show your support for this amazing leader. Please let me share a little about Courtney. Courtney Hargis is a senior at Samuel Clemens High School with an overall GPA of 91.7. Over the past 4 years, she has been involved with FFA. Courtney has developed into a dedicated leader in the organization, among her peers, and on our campus. Courtney recently turned over her crown as the 1819 Miss Guadalupe County Pecan Queen and picked up the responsibilities as our 1920 SCUCISD Cibolo Creek FFA President. Before Courtney was named the FFA President, she has had other successes. Courtney has been the acting FFA Treasurer her junior year. She was asked to be a speaker at the annual Farmers Bureau Business Meeting in October of 2018, where she spoke about leadership qualities and how agriculture plays an important role in our lives. Courtney applied and earned an internship working in our HEB floral department over the summer, and this internship blossomed into a permanent job. Courtney currently retains this part-time job, working at least 20 hours a week while maintaining her AB honor roll status. She also competed in the San Antonio Landscape Skill-a-thon and earned a seat in the top 10 contestants. She will be participating again this year with the goal of winning first place, which, by the way, comes with a huge belt buckle, technology prizes, but she's most interested in the $10,000 scholarship that comes with the title. Courtney has shared with me that she's been studying a lot. Miss Heath says they're going to study some more. So as a Buff family, we look forward to celebrating with her when she reaches her goal. Courtney has stated that of all these activities, they have challenged her to take initiative, become a hard worker, and a critical thinker. As a servant-oriented leader, Courtney also participates in local charities and fundraisers like Bar Y and Sweet Savannah. After graduating from Clemens High School, Courtney hopes to attend Angelo State University, which she has already been accepted to. She plans on majoring in horticulture or nursing to further her career and become an even more successful leader. It is my honor to introduce a dynamic leader and our current Cibolo Creek FFA President, Courtney Hargis.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, and other members of the board. My name is Courtney Hargis, and I'm here representing the Cibolo Creek FFA. FFA is the largest student-led organization in the United States, and Texas holds the most FFA members within the whole nation. So in my opinion, Texas FFA has to be the best organization
and I'm glad to be part of it. So I'm here today to share you the impact that this organization has had on my high school career. I've been actively involved in FFA for the past 4 years, and I'm currently serving as the president for this organization. Through this program, I have raised a hog, a lamb, and a lamb for the San Antonio Stock Show and the Guadalupe County Youth Show. I've competed in numerous LDEs and CDEs, such as chapter conducting, senior skills, and senior quiz, along with Plan ID and nursery landscape. And I did see the parliamentary Robert's Rules of Orders on the sheet, and I thought that was pretty cool. Anyways, through this nursery landscape team, I've gone to state 3 years. So I have been to the school board meetings that y'all hold in, I believe it's April. Through this program, I have been offered many scholarship opportunities, friendships, and public speaking skills that I would have never had my freshman year. I have had the opportunity to attend several leadership conferences, such as Texas Farm Bureau Youth Leadership Conference, and spoke at their annual business meeting. And I've also attended the Building Excellence Leadership Lab, Texas FFA State Convention, as well as running and reigning as Pecan Queen for the Guadalupe County. Through FFA, many doors have been opened to me, and I've gained many goals for myself, including winning that $10,000 scholarship at the San Antonio Stock Show. And I have also achieved my goal of getting my Lone Star degree, which is the highest Texas FFA degree that a member can bestow. In short, the Cibolo Creek FFA program has expanded my knowledge in agriculture and has grown a passion inside of me. Even if my life does not lead me to a career in agriculture, I will always be a supporter of the industry, and I will always know the value of hard work that comes with FFA. Thank you.
Courtney, Sam Houston State has a great horticulture program. And Jenna, Sam Houston State has a wonderful kinesiology program.
Now we will have recognition of principal representatives for the month of November. Veronica Goldhorn and Dr. Lemley.
Good evening, members of the board, President Westbrook, and Superintendent Dr. Gibson. As Director of Elementary Education, I would like to introduce to you our elementary principal for tonight's board meeting. So Clary Bristow, if you'll please come forward. Clary Bristow is our principal at Sipple Elementary. She has been in education for 21 years, and she has served in SCUC for 13. A fun fact about Miss Clary is that she has a goal to hike the Grand Canyon next summer. So she would love to hear your success stories if you have hiked the Bright Angel Trail all the way to the bottom and stayed at Phantom Ranch. So give her a call. And so I'd like to introduce to you Clary Bristow. Okay.
How far is it?
Work about 10 minutes. Oh. Down and 10 out.
That's too hot. Shouldn't do it in the summertime.
Yeah. Take water.
Great job.
Yeah.
Good evening, members of the board, President Westbrook and Superintendent Dr. Gibson. I would like to introduce our secondary principal who is attending this month's board meeting. Vernon Simmons is the principal at J. Frank Dobie Junior High School. He has served in education for 21 years, 13 of those here in SCUCISD. A fun fact about Mr. Simmons, he can do the Carlton dance. Mr. Vernon Simmons.
Not in this venue. Not in this venue. Hey, let's think.
Oh, the next time. We did it, Carl? Oh, you did the cha-cha.
You can dance.
He can dance.
Great job.
Oh, you set yourself up now.
Possums?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now it's time for public comments. In order to provide consistency and fairness to all individuals, public comments will be heard in accordance with Board Policy BED Local and procedures outlined in Administrative Regulation BED. Comments should be limited to topics such as policies, curriculum, and facilities. Any direct criticism of a specific employee will not be heard during public comments and should be considered separately as provided in board policy. In this context, individuals are cautioned to not identify any employee by name or by any combination of words or descriptions which could identify the employee to another individual. Public comments will be limited to individuals who will sign up to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting before the board meeting is called to order. An individual who signs up to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting may not relinquish their time to another individual. No public comment shall exceed 3 minutes. To ensure compliance with time limitations, a yellow card will be held up by the board secretary at 2 minutes, and a red card will be held up at 3 minutes. Amber O'Neill.
Amber, there's a button on that microphone that.
It's green.
Okay, you're good. All right.
Okay, good. Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, board, district staff, and leaders. I'm taking this opportunity. I had this brief conversation with Dr. Gibson Saturday, I think, and I want to apologize to Mr. Linhoff. I haven't had a chance to discuss this with him yet, but I see an opportunity, and I think it's time that I take advantage of it. Opportunities don't always come around twice, and that's why I'm here. I don't know how many of you have athletes at home that participate and plan on playing at the college level, but November 13th was National Signing Day for 11 of our sports, yet SCUC did not recognize that. Canyon recognized it, Smith and Valley, New Braunfels, I can go on. We have 11 sports other than football that could have signed and been recognized on the 13th of November. We missed an opportunity. Very disappointing. I have a list of, let me see, Cassidy Stedman could have signed. Malia Vernes from Steele could have signed. Ashton Zielinski, Connor Porter, Ryan Ward, Jacob Brim, and my daughter as well. This is a missed opportunity. And my daughter asked about signing and signing on the 13th, and she was told, you can sign on the 18th. And I was like, the 18th of December. I was like, that's in the middle of semester exams. That doesn't sound right to me. I looked at the recruiting calendar. Guess when that day is? It's the day for football signing. Really? We're going to tell 11 other sports that they need to wait for football? I get it. Football and Texas are synonymous. They go hand in hand. But what we just told these other athletes is they're not important. And that's the picture that was painted. So we can't get that opportunity back, but I trust that we'll research this and make changes in the future. I get it. The football coaches are busy, but guess what?
if I remember correctly, we hired or assigned assistants. So my expectation was that that assistant took care of that, and it didn't. So it's a missed opportunity. That's all I have to say.
Now we will have the superintendent's update.
Thank you, President Westbrook, trustees and guests. Tonight, I'm going to skip item number 1, and I'll include it in the board update next week, or not next week, but the next board update. Let me say it that way. I will also update 114 we had placed on here as a placeholder under superintendent's update, but as you can see later in the agenda, we'll talk about update 114, so I'm going to just wait until that item. And so I'm going to introduce Dr. Edwards to give the Priority 1 report. Mr. Eisbach as board vice president and Mr. Westbrook as president, and I have been working all this year, and sometimes it seems like it and sometimes it doesn't, to expedite, to make sure that we get enough information shared, but our meetings are pretty succinct, and especially a year when you have 10 or 12 or 13 or 14 or 15. So I say all that to say that the priority reports 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all going to be a shorter version that's more in line with the progress monitoring of that. What I want to share is that if you see anything that you want to have a deeper dive on, just ask, and we will place that on the next meeting's agenda for a deeper dive, if that makes sense. So these are going to kind of move to a real high level run through progress monitoring. If you have anything you want to drill in, let us know. We'll bring it back the next month.
Any correspondence?
Wait, he's got, yeah, he's.
Oh, you're talking.
Yep, he's gonna go. He's waiting to get the screen started. You can go ahead, they can see it right here in front of them.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
All right, thank you, Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, members of the board. Just wanted to go over the Priority 1 update very quickly. We have a few slides just to show the progress and then some other areas we've scored along the way with the principal's input and curriculum department's input as well. So just a reminder, Priority 1, obviously there are 4 categories there: our district strategic goals, 18 to 22, our annual goals, our annual actions, and those are the 2 things we'll talk about tonight, and then the progress monitoring measures is how we get to the annual progress of those goals. So again, just remind 1.1, 84% of graduating seniors will demonstrate college, career, military readiness. 86%, and this is by 2022, 86% of our students pre-K through 12 will demonstrate reading on grade level, and 86% of our students in grades 3 through 10 will demonstrate reading based on the STAR assessment. You can see the annual goals that we've set as well for this year. So we'll dive into this a little bit more. Just a quick progress monitoring. The annual goal for this year is 82% in college and career military readiness. This goal is a little bit different than the others because it's accumulating. It'll add up. Right now, after the first quarter, we're at 72% of our students meeting that criteria. The past couple of years, we were anywhere from 61 to 64%, and it'll just continue to grow as students meet that criteria. So based upon where we are with 72%, we do believe we're well on our way to achieving this goal as well. Again, that in previous years, we came in between 61 and 64% at the beginning of the year, or after the first quarter. 72, we're well on our way. Just a reminder, this is one of the areas that we really kind of dive into. We believe public education is defined by a local community. We define college and career military readiness a little bit different than what the state, we've added to it. And so you can see just a reminder of what we've established as a district to meet that criteria. For military ready, I won't read through all these, you can see them, but military ready, the career ready aspect of that, and then the various aspects of what identifies college ready. Goal 1.2, again, 86% of our students at 2022. Our academic goal this year was 82%. Based on our first quarter, or our beginning of the year data, we're right on pace to meet that goal at 82% of our students in pre-K through 2 reading at grade level. This is one that'll be interesting because we'll probably, or not probably, we will make changes to this after this year based on the new legislature that says in grades K through 3, we'll have to have a math and a reading goal. And so this will be an area that's impacted by that. We'll be able to use the same measure, if you will, the NWEA map screener on that. But just wanted to get that caveat in there. We had a conversation with the elementary principals the other day, and we just kind of wanted to emphasize that this goal may not change, but it'll be a math goal will be added to it in the future. Then the last one for us, 1.3. Again, our academic annual goal is 83% based on our first quarter data, which is our QPAs, our quarterly progress monitor. We came in at about 82%. Keep in mind, we do believe we're on our way to meet that goal. Keep in mind, as you know, we had a rewrite of the English TEKS this last year, English adoption for the lower grade levels. So all of that factors into just getting up to speed on some of those. So we feel good about where we are with 82%. We believe that we'll continue that pace and hit that goal of 83% overall. So the other thing we said we would talk about is our strategic actions. We scored these with the principals last week on where we are with our actions, and you can see there. I know that font's pretty small on the validating of the goal. So green means implementation as expected at this time. Yellow, some concerns about expected implementation. Red, not implementing high barriers or reasons for not progressing. So you can see how, along with the principals and the content or the content coordinators, that's where we shook out as far as our measure of how we're doing on the actions that we said we were going to do that will lead to the results that we want to achieve based on those goals. So that's really about it for the priority one update, short, sweet, to the point. Any questions?
No questions, no comments?
Yeah, I would like at some other time to have a little bit more in-depth, not too deep of a dive, but deep enough to move it a little forward on the AP, dual credit, and on-ramps as far as how they're similar, how they're different, pros and cons, numbers, cost, that sort of thing, just to have some kind of idea where we're headed with that. Because I know we talked about it in our individual curriculum meetings with the staff. So I would just like to have a little bit more information on that. Just those things that I mentioned that would give us time for discussion.
Okay, so we'll add it to the December meeting agenda.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a long thing. I'm just curious as to if we could get some information based on that. Like I said, similarities, differences. How students that are involved. Again, pros and cons of these programs and where we're headed with them. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Right. I don't have anything more either. Public hearing, this will have the public hearing on Schools First Financial Accountability Rating System. Wayne Pruski.
Good evening. Tonight would be the overview of the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas for SCUCISD, followed by public comment. This is I guess we'll just go as it's set up. So what is Schools First? Schools First is the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas. It's the 17th year the financial health of every school district in Texas has been evaluated. The primary goal of Schools First is to achieve quality performance in the management of the school district's financial resources, a goal made more significant due to the complexity of the accounting associated with Texas school finance systems. School districts are required to hold a public meeting to publicize the district's financial report and rating. Possible ratings are superior A, above standard B, meets standard C, and substandard achievement F. Schertz-Cibolo received a superior rating from TEA, achieving 90 of 100 points in the indicator system. These ratings, as a reminder, are based upon financial data from 2017 to 2018 fiscal year. 15 indicators were used by TEA to determine the district school's first rating. This is a chart of the breakdown of the ratings across Texas. So how many school districts received a superior? 906. Above standard, who received a B, were 71, and so on. So there's the state breakdown. So we fell within the 88%. Okay, of the 15 rating indicators, number one was the complete annual financial report, or the AFR, and the data submitted to TEA within 30 days of the November 27th or January 28th deadline, depending upon the district's fiscal year-end date, June 30 or August 31st. Yes, our report was filed with TEA as of December 21st, 2018. 2A, was there an unmodified opinion in the AFR on the financial statements as a whole? Basically, did the district receive what the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants determines as a clean audit? Yes, the district received an unmodified opinion of a clean audit. 2B, did the external independent auditor report that the AFR was free of any instances of material weakness in internal controls over financial reporting and compliance for local, state, or federal funds? Yes, the external auditor reported no material weaknesses in the audit report. Number 3, was the district in compliance with the payment terms of all debt agreements at fiscal year end? As you can see, a debt agreement is a legal agreement between a debtor and their creditors, which includes a plan for paying back the debt. Yes, bond payments were made in a timely manner. There were no disclosures in the AFR concerning default on debt agreements. Number 4, did the district make timely payments to the teachers' retirement system, Texas Workforce Commission, Internal Revenue Service, and other governmental agencies? Yes, payments were made in a timely manner. Slow down. There we go. And then number 5, this was not a scorable item this year by TEA. So on to 6, was the number of days of cash on hand and current investments in the general fund for the district sufficient to cover operating expenditures, excluding facilities acquisition and construction? Yes, the number of days of cash on hand and current investments was 158 days, which is greater than 90 days, which the days were required for maximum points. Number 7, was the measure of current assets to current liabilities ratio for the district sufficient to cover short-term debt? The district ratio is 4.05, which is greater than the 3 needed, and that ratio was required for maximum points, so we received the full value there. Number 8, was the ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets for the district sufficient to support long-term solvency? If the district's 5-year percent change in students was 7% or more, then the district passes this indicator. We did pass the indicator on our growth. The district's ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets is 0.9498, which would have only earned the district 2 points for this indicator. However, we did receive all 10 since the 5-year change in students is 11.09, which is greater than the 7% threshold. This is a common, I'll stop here real quick on number 8. This is a common issue for districts such as us who dealt with growth in the past and are trying to make up and address that growth through long-term liabilities, i.e. bonds. Number 9, that's why the growth factor's in there. Number 9, did the district's general fund revenues equal or exceed expenditures, excluding facilities and construction? If not, was the district's number of days of cash on hand greater than or equal to 60 days? The district's general fund revenues did not exceed expenditures, which did not earn the district any points for this indicator. However, SCUC did receive all 10 points since the number of days of cash on hand was 158 days, which is greater than the 60-day required threshold. On this, we can address now. Just as a side note, as a reminder, in 2017-18, our revenue to expenditures, revenue was less due to an EPP of $5.4 million, which was taken out of the general fund balance. And that fund balance then was decreased from that 5.4 as a net of 2.2. So there's the revenues did not equal or exceed. Okay, number 10. Was the debt service coverage ratio sufficient to meet the required debt service? This one was a no. The district's debt service coverage ratio is 0.955, which is less than 1.0. Therefore, the district did not earn any points for this indicator. We did not get the 10 points onto this one. And as a reminder, this was the year that the INS, so fund balance, general operating fund balance, we had a deficit for the EPP, but then also on the INS side, we dropped down to use our INS fund balance in this fiscal year, that's 17-18, to cover the debt payment to hold the 45 cents. So the district was using the 45 cent. We dipped into our INS fund balance. And again, no points on 10. Number 11, was the district's administrative cost ratio equal or less than the threshold ratio? Yes, the administrative cost ratio for SCUC is 0.0631, and the standard is to be less than 0.0855. The administrative cost ratio is determined by taking the administration costs out of function 21 and 41 and dividing that by the instructional costs across the board of our budget. So we needed to be less than 8.55, and we were 6.31%. Number 12, did the district not have a 15% decline in the students to staff ratio over 3 years, total enrollment to total staff? If student enrollment did not decrease, the district will automatically pass this indicator. Yes, district ratio only decreased by 0.0109, which is less than the 15% threshold. However, the district automatically passed as the district did not decrease in student enrollment. Okay, number 13, did the comparison of PEIMS data, so this is the one that talks about our data being, our accuracy of our data. So did the comparison of our PEIMS data to like information in the district's audit result in a variance of less than 3% of all expenditures by function? Yes, PEIMS data passed the data quality measures set by TEA. I did some digging on this, and with a $120 million budget in 17-18, I think they were off by $600. So that's pretty good. Number 14, did the external independent auditor indicate the financial review was free of any instances of material noncompliance for grants, contracts, and laws related to local, state, or federal funds? Yes, no material noncompliance was noted in the audit. So we received full credit. And then on 15, did the district not receive an adjusted repayment schedule for more than one fiscal year for an over allocation of the foundation school program funds as a result of a financial hardship? Yes, no adjusted repayment schedule was received. The district is in compliance with TEA. So the results out of the scorable, 14 out of 15 with 90 points out of 100. As a reminder, 60 points was the minimum to pass. So our rating is superior, equaling an A.
Wayne, on that point, the two items that were new that we missed because of was it 17-18, is that right?
Yes, sir.
We knew that, and if y'all will remember, we brought that up, that there's a good chance we're not going to hit that indicator when they change it. So that's fine. We knew that. If the trustees ever wanted to hit those indicators, this is just kind of my opinion, they would have to, if you had a year like that, you'd need to go over the 45 cents, which you can do
Yes,
in
sir.
order to meet your debt requirement. We chose to not do that, to keep it
Right.
But legally they can. Okay. So that was a choice. And then you would have to move EPP into the regular budget, basically.
Correct.
And not do
And
a
not-
pay-go system like we do.
That is correct.
So moving forward, I mean, if
The
you
bigger
got to make
piece-
a decision about either just embrace that this is the way it's going to be or make those two changes. I'm okay with a 90 out of 100. The downside is if something sneaks up on you on one of the other indicators, you follow what I'm saying? You don't have a cushion,
Right.
so you really have to watch the other indicator.
And talking with Region about this, a lot of other districts are going to be in the same situation as what you just described as well as on some of the items. So there, you'll probably see the bell curve of A's. There'll be more B's coming with this because of the system and the way it's set up on there. So, okay, so then moving on.
For our student reps, this is your punishment for being selected to appear tonight.
I have just real quick question. On number 6, was that 90 days? Okay, we've talked about that in the last year. Is it ever going to go back to 75?
It's supposed to go to 75, right, Wayne? Eventually.
And have we decided, are we going to adjust or are we going to keep? where we
That's
are?
for the budget workshop scheduled for after you name a
Okay.
new superintendent is what we were instructed to not schedule a budget workshop in the fall. But that will be on the list, fund balance. will
But
be on
that's something we have to think about because of the
Correct.
rating system. If we drain that fund balance,
correct.
that's going to
Back
affect.
to that, if you miss that one indicator and you keep these other two, then, so you probably don't want to get it really close. Which with EPP, we've never gotten close. We've always been now 10 million over because we unassigned that one approximately 10 million, right? Right, but we've never gotten it like to the line. We've always kept, we've never had more than a $5 million cushion with that because we had that assigned. But then if you if you make that assigned, unassigned, and then add it to the other, we've really never had it within 8 or 9 million of that threshold. So it's a really good point you're making, but we've never gotten even that close, basically.
And it goes back to the point you made about the 45 cent, because we dipped into the INS fund balance because we didn't adjust the INS tax of 45 cents. We could have gone up to cover that payment, but we had set up the INS fund balance for the shortfalls, which it's kind of I'm not going to get into that, but we have a policy to cover ourselves and then we got dinged for it. So.
Well, but I'll be the taxpayer. I don't care what the law says. You just raised it 2 cents and we weren't expecting it, right? And that's kind of
Exactly.
that's what we took was, okay, well, that's going to be hard to explain. Even if the law's on our side, that's going to be hard to explain.
So also included in the report are the disclosure statements. So disclosure 1 is the inclusion of the superintendent's contract. So that is included in here. And again, this report will be posted on the website in the business and finance system, and there'll be a straight link to there. So that is disclosure 1. Disclosure 2, reimbursements received by the superintendent and board members for fiscal year 17-18. And there you can see the reimbursements for the superintendent and board members during that fiscal year for a total of $17,547.30. The disclosure 3, were there any outside compensation and or fees received by the superintendent for professional consulting and or other personal services in fiscal year 17-18? There were none to report. Disclosure 4, gifts received by the executive officers and board members and first degree relative, if any, in fiscal year 17-18. There were none to report. Disclosure 5, business transactions between school district and board members for fiscal year of 2018, none to report. That concludes the overview of the first report, and it's for questions or comments, and we can open it up for the public side.
Is there any public that would like to comment, have a question, make a concern? Going once, Going twice. All right. Thank you.
Jenna just said she'd like to hear it over again. She missed it the first time.
Thank you.
We'll have him come to class tomorrow,
Wayne,
to your class, and
that'll
do
be
it
on
for
the
the whole class.
website
Yes, ma'am.
for people that want to see.
Yes, ma'am.
Stats class. There you go. It will be online. We can
That's
can
right.
go over it. Yeah.
She's an Aggie. She got it the first time.
Oh my gosh. You didn't hear the last comment. You're an Aggie. You got it the first time. That was the, yeah.
The Good Governance Self-Check addresses the expectation for trustees to discuss, review, and measure board advocacy for the district within the community and with other governmental entities, and develop procedures to actively strengthen community partnerships to improve overall performance and stewardship of public resources. This is a time where the board has an opportunity to sort of discuss their community involvement over the last month. David?
Yeah, been a busy November, that's for sure. But going back to October, I was able and fortunate enough to be able to attend the Still High School National Honor Society induction. It's always great to see the students who are doing so well, and there's plenty of them, a lot of them, so it was very good. November 4th, likewise at Clemens, I was able to attend the Clemens National Honor Society induction as well. There's many students who were inducted, doing well. Unfortunately, a lot of the athletes were missing because they had things to do. They had games and practice and things like that. So, but a lot of them were inducted as well. November 5th, was able to attend a curriculum session with the curriculum office and at Marion Dauford, and that was quite informative, great presentation. November 6th, I attended my first, in a long time, first Community Advisory Committee meeting. I told everybody I had community service to perform. And did a coin toss November 8th, I think it was. And then also November 15th, we all did the coin toss, and that was a lot of fun, and enjoyed all that. So thank you. That's it.
I've had the opportunity to go to a few football games and a couple of the volleyball games. Did coin tosses for those as well. We had Donna Campbell for one of the coin tosses, which was kind of nice. For the Veterans Day ceremonies, I was able to hit Schertz Elementary and Dobie and Steele, and they were all excellent ceremonies. I really love the Dobie, that Dobie puts their students out there. They do a little journalism video, and they interviewed like their teachers that had been veterans, and then the kids who had parents who were veterans, so that was kind of nice. And then, of course, wrestling has started. So the girls did have this past weekend at Steele an awesome wrestling tournament. They did a very good job with that. And both Clemens and Steele are going to have a great year with their girls. Boys and girls will be this weekend, in case anyone wants to go to Austin.
I've been to football games, volleyball games. It was so exciting on Saturday to watch the Clemens volleyball girls. We've been together a lot this month. I just counted, I think since our last board meeting, we've had 5 or 6 since the regular board meeting. So we've been very busy. I also was at NHS, and we're just a busy fall right now.
Like David, I got to go to a district improvement committee meeting, and I haven't been in a long time. I'm looking forward to getting rolled back into that. I got to attend Clemens playoff football game and a Clemens volleyball playoff game. The Veterans Day, the Schertz Veterans Day ceremony was on Veterans Day, obviously, and Clemens Junior ROTC, the band and the choir all represented there, and that was a very nice ceremony. The weather was much better than it has been in the past. I attended the Tri-County Chamber Luncheon, Northeast Partnership Luncheon, the Rotary Club had a meeting, and that was another good meeting. 3 of us got to go last night to a called city council meeting where they canvassed the votes in Schertz, and we got to read our proclamation to outgoing Mayor Carpenter of his support to the school district, to the city and the school district, and we also recognized Cedric Edwards for his contributions. And today was the chamber luncheon and the Communities and Schools Board meeting.
Well, since I wasn't here last meeting, back in October, I went up to the Clemens tour to see the new facility over there, and that's really coming along real well. I think we're just about done. We're getting real close. It's looking looking really, really nice. That's a good expenditure over there, and I think the students love it. I know that everybody else over there does. So it's a great facility. Made a couple of football games in the amount of time that I've had. And I'm hoping that the Clemens girls volleyball team brings back a state championship. I'm thinking they will. And our football boys to keep going and see how they do. Started to Steele. They've always had a great team out there, and I know they gave it their best. So congratulations to Steele on a great season, and hope the Clemens boys keep going. Thank you.
Okay, this past month, went with President Westbrook to the Go Public event over at, it was hosted by Schertz-Cibolo-Universal. And one thing I'll bring up there, they did a very intense report on, I guess you call it analytics on the internet, Google, either folks that live in this area or people that are potentially moving here. They type in education, good school districts, various things that they type in. It's interesting to just see how many hits that incur as a result of that, and to shoot it out to various school districts. So I mean, the whole point of that was that people do look online when they decide where they're moving to, if they're coming from out of state or whatnot, or if they're looking to move neighborhoods here in town. And our district did show favorably in that. So they showed us a whole lot of statistics, which I never even thought that kind of thing existed, but that was pretty impressive. Also went last night with a couple trustees to the City of Schertz meeting. They got a chance to swear in some new council members. We also got to say goodbye to Mayor Carpenter. I know he's been a big advocate for the school district. And anytime you go to those kind of events, you certainly hear positive feedback about how we're doing as a district. Went to several, probably too close to call, volleyball games. Obviously did very, very well. I'll point out, because I know been around here for quite a while, that we had 2 girls basketball teams make the Final Four back in the late 70s. I think the banners are still hanging over there in Clemens. So this year's girls volleyball will literally be the only other girls team at Clemens who has ever made the Final Four. I mean, so that's a pretty big deal. Also did the National Honor Society functions, and those are always a great event to recognize our kids. And also attended Cibolo Fest and roamed around there quite a bit. And again, I know you guys know this, but it's always great when you get out and walk around and just people always have numerous compliments about our school district. And they're proud to be a part of the district. So.
I hate to rehash it. I'll almost say ditto between David and Gary Inman. Volleyball games, obviously, football games, Go Public, Tri-County Chamber of Commerce, so Tri-County Luncheon, many of the same events. So I don't want to, you have something?
Yeah, let me just add too. We ought to get the report over here. I think they can give it to us, but it did also show the number of folks that type in charter schools compared to public schools and things like that, because those numbers are increasing, and the charter schools going up in various districts are increasing quite a bit too. So it showed how many students are being siphoned off by competing programs, I guess you can call it. So,
well, the one takeaway from the other Go Public was, I think at the end, in a sort of a summary of it, was that they predicted eventually school districts, public school districts, will eventually have to hire somebody to essentially market their district. Because that's essentially what the charter schools are doing. And so essentially when enough students are siphoned off, somebody's going to get wise and say, we need to sort of stop the bloodletting and do our own thing. So it's coming. Next, is there a need to take a recess? No. Oh, well, the students, you can leave now or you can stay. You have homework? Oh, go. There we go.
Wait, you heard the first report. We have a second report.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is, that was smart. She'll be a school board member someday. That's smart right there. She'll be a school board member.
Thank you all. We'll give you another round.
Thank you, both of y'all. Thank you. I did ask, as a side note, I did ask Courtney if I should learn how to bulldog or learn how to fall off a horse and what'd you call it? Calf scramble. They told me no.
Calf on the Houston calf scramble. I did that.
So it's-
I still have a scar on my side. No, I caught a calf. I owned a cow until I sold it to my younger brother for 10 years that I bought by catching a calf at the Houston Calf Scramble. I was also a Lone Star farmer, by the way. Yeah, and it turns out you don't have to make money in order to get that certification, even if you lose money, but you do it. It's how you learn, which was good because I lost my backside on a bunch of calves. Yeah, okay. So.
Good to know. Thank you all very much. So for the record, 2 principals said that I was too old to do something. That's age discrimination or something. I don't know. Thank you all very much. New business, Damon Edwards and Kelly Kovacs. November 2019 curriculum management update.
Thank you, Dr. Gibson, President Westbrook, members of the board. My responsibility is to introduce Ms. Kelly Kovacs.
All right, good evening. I'm happy to be here this evening to share with you the curriculum update for November 2019. As you know, we like to share an update on our work every couple of months, and at least annually, we like to refer all the way back to the curriculum audit that happened back in 2017 and give you an update on the work that's been done and what we're working on currently. So with that, I'm going to dig into this. Do we care about the lights? It's okay either way for me. I just don't know if you guys can see. You guys don't have a copy of this yet, but we do have a Word version of it that I'll be happy to share with you so you can review it later. I'm not going to say all the words on my slides like some people, but just teasing. Sorry. I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. But I am going to hit the highlights. We did have 7 audit recommendations. As you guys remember, we're actually going to go through each one of these, so I'll read them as we go. The first one was ensure clarity through consistent district, campus, and departmental planning. As we go through these, we're going to talk about what we've done, what the completed actions are, what our current work is in this school year. And one of the things that we noticed was that what we are unable to do really is say, well, we're, let's say, 80% complete with the work on the audit, because a lot of the things in that are things that are going to happen annually every year. So what you'll see in this presentation is if it's an annual update every year, you'll see a little star next to those items. So some of these things you'll say, well, we have it in the completed actions. That's true. And in the right column, we're doing it again this year because it's going to happen every year. So just to get you familiar, at the top again is just a reminder of what the general idea was from the curriculum audit recommendations. On the left side are things that we've done since then, since 2017. And on the right side are activities that we're doing this year or our planned activities for this year. So you guys all have been a part of SCUC for a number of years, and you've seen the work that's been done with the strategic plan, campus and district improvement plans, and scorecards. And a lot of this work about the consistency, the clarity, and the cascading of all of those things working together has happened for a while. But it is part of how we ensure that consistency is when you look at, for example, the scorecards for the district, and you look at the campus scorecards, those goals are the same. What you see, though, is how the district is going to be evaluating it and what their actions are. And then the campuses have looked at the scorecards and said, what's our role in that? How do we contribute to the district goals? So a lot of work has been done with that over the past few years, and it continues. So you can see in the 19-20 planned activities, A lot of it is just continuing the work that's been done, and we'll do these things every year. We'll continue to come back to the strategic plans. We'll continue to come back to the district plans and ask that our scorecards and our improvement plans align. The second audit recommendation was about developing a curriculum management plan, writing curriculum for all subjects in K through 12, and standardizing instructional models for the district. It's set up again like the last one with completed actions and ones for this year. This particular slide, there was so much that we've done in this area that it doesn't all fit on one slide. So these are all the completed actions that we are sharing this evening. All of these things have multiple steps to them, but some of the ones that we want to highlight is the work with the learning framework. Really, we've talked about that with this board before, but it's really a way that we're taking and trying to standardize a little bit of what we're doing in terms of curriculum. What are we looking for in terms of planning? How are we planning instruction? What are things that we want to make sure are happening in all of our classrooms? And we've really worked for the last few years on this 4-year curriculum writing plan. This is the Gantt chart that's linked there is really tiny font. You would not be able to see it. So that's why I'm not going to pull it up. But it is important to note that we have a plan for what courses are we going to be writing our curriculum for each year for the next few years. And I'll share a little bit more about that in just a moment. Some of the activities that we're doing this year, and a lot of these, again, are things that we're going to be doing every year. Things like continuous improvement visits, where we're going to campuses quarterly and taking a look in classrooms and talking to the staff about their data and what they're working on and their goals and how they're progressing. The foundation courses that are aligned to the learning framework, we're offering that professional development to our new teachers every year, as well as our veterans, while we get everyone caught up. One of the things that's new this year, but we are planning to continue, is the use of what we're calling digital data walls for kinder through 8th grade, where we're looking at student progress and achievement at least quarterly, using our quarterly progress assessments, our screener data, and other pieces of data that the campuses have found is really useful. One of the things that we're a little bit ahead on is the last item there, vertical alignment documents. Mr. Pivoto, you mentioned you would like an update on what's happening with AP and dual and on-ramps, and I agree with you because there's a lot happening with that right now. And one of the things that we're proud and happy to be working on is some documents that really show the difference between on-level honors and these advanced academic courses so that students and parents can make informed choices when they're selecting courses. We have shared this with you each time we come together for curriculum update. At monthly, we're taking a look at how much work have we done with the courses that we said we were going to be working on curriculum documents for. And so these have not changed other than we've updated the numbers for the month of November. As a reminder, we are working on rebuilding ELAR and SLAR, the English and Spanish language arts, because they have new TEKS. One of the things that we've found that's slowing us down a little bit, we utilize TEKS resource system for kind of the basis of some of our curriculum work, and they're slow getting things loaded in there. It's because it's such a big job, I'm sure. So once they come, we get the information from TEKS resource system, we're pulling in our teachers and working on our part as quickly as we can. We typically get units to the teachers who need them at least a week ahead, if not more. We're trying to get them as quickly as we can. The same is true for 5th through 8th grade. And we're working on, we talked about this last time, that we're working on Spanish 1 and 2, and PE's had a big focus this year as well. We're also working on CTE. One of the other courses that's a little slow to get updated from TEKS resource system is algebraic reasoning. That was one that we said we were going to be finished with by the end of the year. I believe we're in Unit 4, and TEKS resource system is on Unit 2. So we might not get that one finished this year, but other than that, we're pretty much on track to get all of our curriculum writing done in the time frame that was initially established back in 2017, and we're pretty proud of that. Our teachers and coordinators have been working really hard to make that happen. So back to the audit recommendations, the third one is about board policies and making sure that we're clarifying expectations, looking at our organizational charts and job descriptions. And a lot of this work was done back in just after the audit, actually. You all, in fact, approved board policy EH back in fall 2017, and we added a admin regulation to that as well in spring 2018. So right now we're following those policies and regulations, and we plan to look at our organizational chart and job descriptions this year as well to make sure we're providing appropriate support. Number 4 was really about professional development and making sure that what's happening in the classroom is effective for students. And so a lot of what we've been doing is making sure that all teachers get the foundation courses aligned to the learning framework. We're making sure that new teachers are coming in and they know exactly what our expectations are in SCUC, so we continue to have excellent teachers. And we've worked on that professional development learning plan. We update that every year, as you can see with the star on the first one. We also providing those foundation courses annually. Some of the things that are a little different this year that are new is we're refining New Teacher Academy and providing some opportunities. Now, if I'm a veteran teacher and I'm coming to SCUC, I too have some opportunities to get in, view classrooms, see what some great learning looks like, learn with the content coordinators. It's been so far very successful, and we've had some great feedback from that. Number 5 is about utilizing data to make decisions. And so we've had a lot of work in this area as well. A couple of those that we want to highlight are the adoption and implementation of universal screeners, NWEA and Panorama. Those are going really well, and we'll talk a little bit about what we're doing with those now. And things like district common unit manual, making sure that everyone's aligned with how they provide assessments and how we're looking at the data. And so what are we doing this year that's a little bit different? We added quarterly progress assessments so that we're looking at that data on a consistent basis and really looking at how kids are progressing on a really tight schedule. Really, at least once a quarter, we're looking at that through the digital data walls. We're also providing ongoing training. So the screeners are great, but if we're not looking at the data, what's the point? So really almost monthly now, we're having multiple opportunities for teachers and administrators to come and learn more about how can I use this data to inform my instruction and make decisions for students. So we're really excited about that. It's been going really well. The 6th one, almost done, is about policies and procedures about interventions and what we're using for instructional materials. And so in the past, we actually last year, well, 2 years ago, we did the initial survey for what are we using for interventions. And last year we developed a matrix for what other options are out there, either free or that we would recommend. And we also developed a process for requesting interventions from campuses. Some of the work that we're doing now is how do we decide what we want to continue to use for intervention resources, and how do we decide when it's time to let something go? So we're working on that this year, and we're developing a basic book for all grade levels so that we know what instructional materials are being used at all campuses, all grades. That'll help us as well as we start to build campuses moving forward in the next few years. And then the last one is really about a curriculum-driven budget and making sure that our money is being spent in the areas that can help us most with curriculum. And that work was actually done before I was here, long before I was here, in terms of figuring out how do we find local and how do we use those federal funds as well to make sure that we are aligning with what we're saying is important to us in terms of curriculum and instruction. And we're continuing to do that. You'll notice the last one there on 2019-2020 for this year is just, we're still working on how the 86th legislature, how that's going to impact the work that we're doing. So that was a lot, but it was not every word. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
Double shade there, Wayne, double shade. Better
I'm
get
sure
an umbrella,
I'll pay for it
dude.
later.
Kelly, we're going to have it attached to our board update.
Yes, there's a kind of a Word version that's a little easier to read. I'll send that.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I just want to say I appreciate that y'all are going to go through and figure out which schools are using which books, because I think that'll really help us tighten up our resources.
Yeah. Hold on, oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
So what were the 4 areas again of the learning framework?
They are aligned curriculum and assessments, relevant and flexible pedagogy, learner-centered environment, and safe and caring environment.
Okay.
And those were worked on with, we used all staff from all different levels and students for their feedback to develop those.
All right, so how is I think it came out on the last board update on Friday, but the campus improvement plans, how does it work into the district improvement plans? Are they, theoretically, they're aligned?
Right, absolutely. To the learning framework, is that what you're asking?
Yes, you
Or
can use the learning framework.
To each other.
I know the campus improvement plans came in, but and I know several times you mentioned the district improvement plans.
Right.
So would the campus improvement plans have to somewhat align with the district improvement plan?
Right, typically they do. And really the scorecards are like almost the Cliff's Notes versions of a district or campus improvement plan. And so since the scorecards are aligned, the improvement plans should be as well.
Okay, and so the principals, are they data-driven when they're using their budget? I mean, the answer is yes, I'm sure, but I mean, they have a budget, right? Every principal has a budget.
Right,
To extent to
absolutely.
work with, and
Right, and so then they're looking at what their needs are and determining how do we want to spend that based on what our campus needs are. And also what is the district saying we need to work on? Because as a district, we might have something that is, for example, social emotional learning, this whole idea of safe and caring environment. Some campuses were already spending funds in those areas and others might not have been. And so if we are saying that's important to us, are there things that we need your campus budget to be spent on, or what things does the district budget need to be spent on for those things?
and from the administrative level, that direction comes from you and Dr. Edwards, Damon Edwards?
Well, a lot of it, in terms of the campus budget, they determine that. We don't tell them. I don't
I
tell
just
them how we
heard you say
spend their-
they also receive some input from, the principals receive some input from, I thought, administration,
in terms of how they spend their budget.
if they're not using it, aligned with.
I don't know that we do. I'm going to have to defer to our directors for elementary and secondary. I'm not sure that we.
I know for sure, as our elementary principals, they do meet, starting in January and starting to work on their budget. They sit down together and they look at, okay, what is it collectively are we doing with our dollars for professional development, or and it's all the specific line items. We have guidance from our finance department and working with many members there that come to talk with us about that, as well as technology and looking at software renewal. So it's a collective effort when we are planning our budgets with our campus principals and working with many departments and determining, okay, how much do we need to earmark in this particular line item, and moving forward, all focusing around our district initiatives, campus initiatives on where our dollars need to be spent. So that work begins January, and I know Mr. Pruski has already met with our principals at our HR Finance Roundtable and looking at capital outlay. And he's asked them, we would like you to start looking at that on what are your needs as a campus. Let's not wait until spring. Let's start looking at that list and prioritizing that. So it is definitely a collective effort when we're working with our campus principals on budgets.
That explained it. Thank you.
Any other questions before I walk away again? Sorry.
No, I might stop you just to bring you back so you can make
Oh.
another comment about Mr.
Okay,
Pruski.
great. Anytime. I'm always available for that.
Thank you, though.
Thank you.
Mr. Westbrook, on then item number 2, which has several items under it, and even though the meeting has only been ongoing for an hour and 18 minutes, the board has actually been here for 2 hours and 18 minutes. So Mr. Rivera is going to fast track those, but any trustee, just stop if you need to pause on any one of them.
Sounds good.
Very
Yes,
good.
sir.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
President, members of the board, and Dr. Gibson, we have 7 items on our, for discussion and procurement of goods and services, beginning with the technology consultant services through our instructional resources, beginning with Dr. Burkholder, Mr. Light, Mr. Mosley, and Ms. Kovacs again. If you have any questions regarding these items, we have a Excel spreadsheet on the adjoining page and any details they can provide themselves, beginning with Dr. Burkholder.
Okay. So the first item is for technology data consulting services, and the procurement method will be a request for qualifications to select multiple firms that can provide technology data consulting services for future technology projects. The district will determine when these services are needed, and the last time we asked for a request for qualifications was 5 years ago. The funding source will vary depending on the project, and the annual estimated cost is $100,000 to $200,000. We plan to bring this back in December for board action.
The second one, we're soliciting proposals to purchase band and orchestra instruments in support of campus instruction. This is through the general fund of the EPP program, which you approved last month before last, estimated cost around $75,000.
Mr. Leip, are you replacing instruments? Are you purchasing instruments for growth?
These are
or what?
primarily due to growth.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, so the first one coming from our side over here is the chain link fencing replacement at Pascal, Green Valley, Jordan, Wilder, and Dobie. This is actually adding fencing where currently it is only wooden residential fence. And so we're providing our own security boundary now for our campuses. Yeah, so the old wood fence has fallen down, so we need to make sure we've got a good fence around it. The second one here, and that's an EPP project. Our estimated cost there is $75,000 to $100,000. We'll bring that back to you in January. The second item is the HVAC replacements at Green Valley Elementary, our second half of the Malish building, as well as the Clemens Kitchen. That's a 2016 bond savings project. Our estimated project is there is $3 to $4 million. That project is this coming summer, so that's summer of 20, as well as fall of 20 as well. And we'll have to do some movement in this area during that time. So that's the two projects for facilities construction.
That's all from bond savings?
Yes, ma'am. The HVAC is all out of bond savings. Yes, ma'am.
The last three items there are for instructional materials. As we've done the last couple of years, we want the option of allowing our teachers to select items that are not on the state adoption list if they so choose. This is really just kind of an insurance policy in case they select something that's not currently on the state adoption list. Well, and I say it currently as if we have that list. We don't yet. So we're not sure what's on the list. So this is just a preemptive RFP just in case.
Ms. Kovac, can I ask on the ELR basic English, because I know the high school's up for adoption this year, but for grades 1 through 4, because we adopted last year.
Yeah, that's actually supposed to be English 1 through 4 rather than grades 1 through 4.
I was wondering because I was thinking, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. We really have two. We have the first one for English 1 through 4 and honors, and then we have on letter F, that's also supposed to be.
Right, for basic English for
basic.
special education.
Okay.
There are some options out there that are specifically for.
Oh, okay, so that
this
one's
level.
for our special ed then.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
okay, I'm
Yes, ma'am.
sorry, I didn't catch that.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, can I go back to the AC, the building? Particularly the Malish building. I know you said summer of 2020 and fall of 2020.
Yes, sir.
So that'd be the Malish building, West Wing, which is us right here.
Yes, sir.
Green Valley, and then Samuel Clemens
Yes,
Kitchen. So are we going to be roving? I mean, we've done it before. You know, originally we had our board meetings in where Dr. Gibson's office is now.
Yes, sir. So we have
Of
lots
course,
of
there
ideas.
were only 5 people in the whole district at that time, so, you know.
Yeah,
including
we've got-
myself.
We've talked about lots of ideas as to how we're going to manage that. We've not landed on a single idea yet.
Somebody will tell me, though, where the meeting's going to be. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely.
I know I talk too much sometimes.
Somebody will let you know, though. Any other comments, concerns? And I've heard most of these are coming back in November or December.
Yeah, when we, after I talk about 114, we'll just run down the list like we do, and just, if that's all right with y'all, we'll talk about what the timing is on each of them.
All right, Dr. Gibson, 114.
Yeah, so just a quick overview, and just in a general sense, there are 18 local policies that were impacted by Update 114, and around 145, I was counting them a while ago, there's around 145 legal and local policies. So actually, when we got the packet a few weeks ago, Dee Dee and I both looked at it and kind of gave it the scan through, and both said, this is a lot fewer local policies than we thought would come out of this update. But it is about what we thought would come with legal policies, over 140. So having said that, you have from page 24 to 103 in your packet, the vantage point and the explanatory notes and some of the track changes for local policy. So we're asking all trustees to go through that. And then Mr. Finley and the new board president, sometime in December, I guess ideally we would like to have this approved at the December board meeting if we can. If not, the January will be fine. The legal one of the things, the local policies aren't as big of a deal, but the legal policies have actually been the law since September, many of them, and our board book is not updated because we had to wait for TASB to get this out to us and get through it. So if we couldn't get it in December, definitely January. And I want just, and Amy and Robert, I'll let you chime in if you want to, but we showed them last Friday with the 145 legal policies, how we're tracking the steps, and I'll put it in the board update too, so the board can see it, because it. Now I'm gonna, Linda, I just know you and I talked yesterday a lot about one, but what was that example of one that we know is going to take several actions? It's a legal policy. Do you remember which? Yeah, that's a good one. So we've got, a point is that was a legal policy, so it's going to be adopted, but then we've got to come in and ask some questions about how do we want to embed this? In that case, maybe board operating guidelines. And then Cassandra, I just remember you and I were talking about one that you won't even get the guidelines until August of 20, right? So that particular one will be pending until next August of 2020. Law has been passed, legal policy is about to be adopted, and then we'll wait between now and next August for the rules or whatever and a lot of these will have rule changes that we suspect will come up with update 115.
Yeah, Dr. Gibson, let me kind of just throw in, this will be something for future superintendent, I guess, but I know what the law says, but the practicality of it is fairly difficult to comply with. I guess you can say if every text message is public information, every email is public information. Yeah, I know all of our board members use their own private cell phones.
Right.
I'm pretty sure most of our staff does as well. And I just think logistically, how on earth can you possibly then forward to some centralized location every email, every text that you get on your private phone? So we may want to consider, again, this is one of those, I don't know if this is what they intended, but having work phones for work purposes or some kind of separation, which costs a heck of a lot of money, which isn't the whole point of this. But otherwise, I can see there's just really practically no way you could fully abide by what they're asking in a sense.
Yeah, and that what you just described is really where we are. Another example is tonight, we did the posted agenda for public comments on general, and then public comments on a specific action item. That's two different lists, and Amber signed up on the general comments because there wasn't an item on the agenda, and that was perfect. But what we know that there's a county in Texas that's falling under this same rule, that the stakeholder in that community felt like it should have been at every single action item, there should be 2 minutes of public comment. So if you follow, so like for us, that would have been an extra 2 or 3 hours probably in this meeting, because literally so it's going to the Attorney General. We think that there's no way the Attorney General is going to say, yeah, you need to add. And I think what will happen is if districts are forced to allow that, they'll limit it to 12 seconds. you know, or 5, like you have to say it. Otherwise, it's going to turn into a 3 or 4 hour board meeting. That's another example. So that one's going to the Attorney General right now. I suspect there's going to be a lot of these that are about to go to the Attorney General's office.
But I guess so. So the way we work it, I mean, any emails any of us get, that's on our SCUCI, texted.net.
Correct.
And that automatically gets saved. I mean, whether we save it ourselves
That's
or not,
correct.
right? But I can see how text could be a problem. That's
Yep.
just,
We
I'm sure
agree.
you guys are texting each other all day long about
Yep.
things. And
It has become the mode of communication to just try to be faster than social media.
right. And again, just strictly speaking, they're asking that we save all of those,
Correct.
which
That's
yeah,
going to be a
it
challenge.
is what it is. But that's
Yep.
okay. So again, I don't know if it's worth. I mean, I don't know what other districts around the state are going to do, but I mean, I assume that'd be a fairly significant cost if we're
Yeah, we
providing cell
know-
phones for everybody.
I think it's probably the people that you're looking at here, but we talked about another organization getting ready for this has bought work phones. So they have a work phone and then they have a personal phone. And then when they're doing work, they use the work phone. But again, it's an unfunded mandate, as someone
Okay.
has already kind of pointed out, if that's the route that we go in order to comply. We do need a policy committee. I hate to do that to y'all in light of, yeah.
There were, well, when is that? There is a policy committee, but does it have a term limit? You know what I'm saying? No, it just keeps going on and on. I know the president gets to decide who puts.
You got about 2 more hours to go, so you might as well set up something. But,
So as the president, I'm going to take myself off this committee. All right.
We'll reach out to try to
And
schedule it.
I wanted to say, we also received that via email from Priscilla to that Vantage. So the one that's in the board book she
Correct.
sent out. So if anybody wants to just go back to their emails and look. So I appreciate her sending that out.
There are things that are challenges, like Mr. Emmon brought up. The local policies, there was nothing in there that we thought was really problematic. So y'all know. But then we've got some implementation issues or hurdles. I won't call them issues, just hurdles to get over for the rest of it.
Is that all for that? 114?
That's it, unless you want me to start reading every one of them word for word.
That's
Board
Brewski's
consideration.
job.
That's good. Consideration and consensus on discussion items? We're going to go down the,
And back to JD and Wayne, the technology, and I guess the question is, are you okay with it being on consent, technology data services?
I would like, because of the costs of that, I would like that on the action item.
Okay.
I would
Music-
like also B and C, just because the cost, and
Hold on just a second. I'm looking at, I've got
I'm
another list.
not too concerned about those other things. And maybe D, I don't know. A, B, C, D.
All right, so A, B, C, D will be on action items.
Yeah.
That
And I don't
leaves-
know that it's going to require a lot, but we would have at least some dollar amount at that point, so.
Okay, so E, F, G.
Yeah, E, F, G, I think fine on consent.
Anybody have it?
And
EFG on
CASB
consent.
policy update.
I was going to say, we probably won't have a decision on that until more like March, April, May.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
although
For
the RFP will be
EFG
over,
is
we'll still be reviewing materials
springtime.
for a while.
Okay.
Okay, so those are coming back
That works.
later.
C and D are also won't be back till January.
All right, so just January, but we're putting it as an action item.
As an action
in
item, yes,
January.
sir.
So A and B will be ready in December? So, okay, we'll have it, all right, we'll have an action item in December. And then Dee Dee, the reason I said update 114 is that it's on this chart on page 105. You look like maybe we weren't planning on doing this in December. Okay, so I'm gonna just say, I hope that we can have it ready in December. She's probably being more realistic, and so, but do you want it on consent once everything's met, or do you want to?
114?
Update 114?
Yes.
So whether it's December or January, what we're just trying to decide, is it okay to put it on
Yes,
consent?
yeah, whenever it is.
Once the committee has read it. Okay, so
Now,
that's
when do
where,
we-
Dee Dee, whenever we get it.
When do we want to have a policy committee meeting?
Well, we'll try to get that worked out, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I think
It's going
We-
to take some
we-
time to read through all this, so.
Yep. But
well,
you-
we
that's
can
what
all
we
read
gave
board
you the
policy, so
overview.
I don't know that, you know, committee's necessary. I mean, that's not my call. I'm just personally.
Okay. We'll put it on consent either in December or January, and we'll have a policy committee meeting before then, or two. Okay, that concludes.
All right. At this point in time, is there any board member that would like to pull a consent item? If not, can I get a motion?
Mr. President, I move the Board of Trustees approve the consent agenda items A through F as presented on page 106.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. Motion passes. Other action items. Dr. Gibson, a request for board action, casting the votes.
Yeah, thank you. We're moving to page 144 in your board documents. And I might, if it's okay, Mr. Westbrook, address 1 and 2 at the same time. And then, of course, it'll take separate votes. But we have Bear Appraisal District. The short version is that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people running. And we have 14 votes.
Dr.
So,
Gibson, Rick Schroeder is no longer a candidate.
Okay.
So we have 9.
Thank you. So Rick Schroeder is off, probably lost an election, decided to not be on this.
He
or-
no longer lives in the
Okay.
area.
All right. So there's 9 then, and you have 14 votes. For those of you that haven't done this before, if you want to participate in either recall election or a later election, you have to have cast at least 1 vote for any of the candidates. So I would recommend spreading them out, at least 1 for each of these, and then someone gets 2 or 3. This is going to get a lot more interesting with Guadalupe County. So we just, need to do the Bear County, and then we'll get to Guadalupe. Does anybody want to give the additional 2 or 3 or 4 votes to any particular one on this? We'll give it to the school people?
I would
Okay,
say.
so we'll spread them out and then give the extra ones to the school people.
Yeah, I would say give each one of them 1 vote and then spread the rest of the votes out between the people on the school district. The school boards.
So if
that's possible.
Can somebody do the, like write those, so it would be 2 for Sherry Barham. Well, we may have more than we can do this. We're short 1 vote.
Yeah, we're going to be short somewhere.
Yep. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yep, short 1 vote. We have 14, and that would be 15. So is any, I'm just going to say that someone that's being nominated by Northside ISD is going to be on this board. Okay. With you look at, they're the SCUC of Bear County as we are to Guadalupe County. So if you want, I don't think they would feel slighted if you left the 1, if you only gave 1 to George Torres, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm sorry, George Torres. Because I would think that person's getting on this board. Okay, so that would be, this one right here, you go. Who, if some, make sure that's 14. Okay.
Wait, but we're counting one here, but we don't need to. Which one is Schroeder?
Oh, that's right.
So we can go back to 2.
So if you kill Schroeder, is that, if you delete Schroeder?
Then you can go to.
Go back to 2.
Then we're good to go?
So which one is Schroeder?
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you.
Right.
We can go to 2 at the bottom and 1 right here.
Okay.
1 right here and 2 right here.
Okay, I got you. Thank you. So this is 0, so I'm gonna write 0, and then that's 2.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. Okay.
Do I have to make a motion or I just?
Wayne, could you come over and help them with the math, please?
Here you go, here you go.
Don't bring any slides, though, okay?
No slide rules
Mr. President, I move the Board of Trustees vote by resolution and submit the official ballot to the Board of Directors for the Bear Appraisal District 2020-2021 as follows. 2 for Sherry Byram, 2 for John Fisher, 1 for Aaron Harrison, 2 for Juan Manchaca, 2 for Ricardo Moreno, 1 for Sergio Chico Rodriguez, 1 for Michelle Bunting Ross, 1 for George Torres, and 2 for Robert Trevino.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you.
This one is a little more interesting. When we moved to Guadalupe County, there are 5,000 votes, just like Bexar County, and SCUC has 1,397 of the 5,000 votes for us. Mr. Perkins has expressed an interest to serve, and his name is on the ballot. There are 6 candidates vying for 5 positions, so somebody's not getting on. In 2000 and something, this happened. Well, Mr. Finley asked to be on one time, or volunteered, or expressed an interest to be on it. And at that time, we had 5 candidates vying for 5 positions. And so we spread them out like 300 each, including Mr. Finley, because everybody was getting on. The election cycle prior to that, Mr. Wilson ran in a situation just like this. And so we wound up giving him 1,000, I think is what we looked at. And then a couple of other candidates had asked. My recollection was that one of the candidates that's on here tonight showed up at that board meeting and asked for votes, and the board granted him some votes based on that. That did not happen tonight. So I think Ms. Dreisbeck and I talked in preparation for the board meeting. You might give 1,020. You might just get it a little over 1,000. So just in case by some miracle of numbers, it was 5 of them got 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, and 1 got 0. Statistically, I think that's almost no way that's going to happen. But you might give 1,020, which would leave, I'll do the math, a balance of 300 and some odd. I'll give you that exact number to distribute amongst the others. 377. Mr. Garrett, I'm sorry, the City of Cibolo's city manager asked for support for Doug Garrett, and the City of Schertz verbally asked me for support for Daryl John at our standing meetings. Again, you need to give all of them at least 1, including Jerry.
Did any of them send a letter?
The City of Cibolo was the only written communication, but then we didn't receive any.
I'm gonna let everybody else go first, but I know there were 2 options, well, there's some political implications also, but are we just divide them
Divide
evenly
it equally.
with the remainder?
So 377 divided by 5, right?
Divided by 5 ways.
Do you guys know any of them? I mean, I know Greg Gilchrist, I think he's still on the board at Navarro. He's still a
Yes,
sitting
and
school board
he's
member.
served on here since I've been
quite a while, right?
at SCUC, yeah, he's been on.
And he's been out here before to ask for a vote. He
Right.
just been on there long enough. And Daryl John, obviously, is a former Schertz City Council member. And current, he's a tax assessor?
Yeah, tax appraiser, assessor.
Yeah. Darren Dunn, he's the
Past mayor.
media guy up there in Seguin
Oh, okay.
with the radio station.
Yeah, he's a
Correct.
radio, and he does used to do a little throwaway newspaper when I was working in Seguin.
It's still there, Dave.
The throwaway newspaper?
Yeah.
Is that what they call it, or is that what?
It's the
Well,
daily
that's what I
supplement.
did with it. I threw it away.
It's still there. So.
Yeah. He's still around, yep.
So I guess real simply, you can weight your remaining votes for this side of the county, I think is one way to say it. Or just divide them out as equally as you can for the remaining candidates. I'm assuming you want
To whatever
Jerry
extent it matters, I
Perkins
mean, haven't we always
to be
waited
on.
till December and then we kind of get to be the last group that goes and we kind of get to pick who wins? I mean,
They're due December.
No, we don't have that option.
Not
It
this
has to
time?
be submitted by December 15th.
which is before the board
Okay.
meeting, so we didn't get to, you're right about that. The last time it so happened, it worked the other way, so we were able to move it.
I say there's two ways we give Jerry, well, the one way Jerry's going to get the majority, and then we can either divide it equally with who's remaining, or just divide it amongst the two city ones that requested our help, or requested the votes.
With at least one going to everybody.
Well, we can do 1,022 for Jerry and 75 for everybody else, or we could do 1,000.
That's what I was just doing. That's a good.
1,020 for Jerry, and then 75 for everybody else, with one additional for Mr. John and Mr. Garrett. That adds up to 1,397.
I say let's do it that way. Sounds good. What you just explained sounds good to me.
I was just doing that math, so if everybody's comfortable.
Is everybody comfortable with that? 6 one way, half a dozen the other.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah,
I
you
believe.
got yep. Do a ballot. There we go.
So you're going to go 75 each, right?
75 to 76 for Mr. Garrett and Mr. John. Want to add that up?
So that's 375, is that right? 75.
Who's the math teacher? Don't we have a math teacher here?
Oh,
I just want somebody to check my math. I'm pretty sure I'm right.
But they're taking care of it down there, so.
Or maybe 1,020. 1,020 Yeah, 1,020 there.
Yeah, that should be 1,020.
Yeah, but why did I?
You know, you notice both the principals are looking down at the floor. They don't want to.
Take 2 off, it would be 1,020. So I got, yeah, 1 or 2 types, it should be 1,020.
What is the total?
1,397.
1,397. So
Oh, I got you.
Didn't you teach math, Prusky?
Yes.
Yeah, come on, step up. Huh?
You got it. Yeah, you got it. It's on that other page. That's what I handed you first, right there.
May I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move the Board of Trustees vote by resolution and submit the official ballot to elect Board of Directors for the Guadalupe Appraisal District for 2021-2022 as follows. Mr. Ben Amadar, 75 votes. Mr. Darren Dunn, 75 votes. Mr. Verlin Doug Garrett, 76 votes. Dr. Greg Gilcrease, 75 votes. Mr. Darrell Johns, 76 votes. And Mr. Jerry Perkins, 1,020.
I second.
And that does add up to 1,397.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
That was like a mini course in good governance.
Yeah, good, yeah, it was in basic math education. Everybody used a calculator. Mental. Dr. Damon Edwards, request for board approval for the district and campus improvement plans.
And Dr. Edwards, they do have a hard copy for them, not necessarily to look at right now, but to take with them. So every one of them has a hard copy.
Okay, of the
Everybody.
goals and objectives?
Say again?
Of the goals and objectives?
Yes.
Okay, no calculator needed.
No calculator needed.
Okay. Previously, we brought to you on a discussion item, the district and campus improvement plans and goals and objectives. We're recommending that the board approve those as part of the transparency of our work in alignment with the board policy BQ legal. The district and campus improvement plan goals and objectives are being provided this month for approval by the board and for verification that the plans mutually support the accomplishment of the identified objectives as well as meeting the state goals and objectives under the Education Code Chapter 4. Mr. Westbrook, this also kind of goes back to address your questions on the alignment of what the district priorities and the campus priorities as well. So at this point, our recommendation is, or a request is that the board approve these plans and the plans, goals, and objectives for 1920.
May I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move the Board of Trustees approve the district and campus improvement plans, goals, and objectives for the 1920 school year as presented.
I second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just wanted to, we kind of talked about it, Mr. Westbrook and Dr. Gibson and I on Friday, that we usually approve the district improvement plans, but now we've added the campus in there, and that's by law? No?
Yeah, so a part of the policy that was adopted that was actually referenced earlier, I believe, with the curriculum management, this is, I don't know if it's legal as much as just a best practice that's recommended. And so we want to make sure that annually that occurs. I would say that if trustees ever have a question about alignment, and no matter what topic we're on, or you want to show how the arrows align, we can embed that in any conversation that we have on curriculum management or priority one.
But, yeah, go ahead.
That's it.
It was sort of, I think the discussion centered around the school board is being held to some extent more accountable for the district improvement plan, but at the same time, we have our campus improvement plans, but at the same time, we still have our roles and responsibilities.
That's correct.
And so I think Dr. Gibson said it best, is this will probably not redefine, how do I say it? It was like sort of cement our roles and responsibilities, only because, listen, if I approve a campus improvement plan and for some reason it gets a D, it always comes back to the board that I approved that plan. But at the same time, that's an operational issue. That's an administrative issue. And so there's some fine lines here between what we're approving, but it's your responsibility for doing it. And
that's a fair statement, though, to say that by asking for your approval, we're saying that we believe what's in here will achieve the results that we seek, and you can hold us accountable for it. And then and as long as we're doing curriculum management discussions and there's back and forth, and then this really does kind of set the backdrop for all of that discussion.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
And the next item on the agenda was mentioned at the last board meeting, but I think it was literally finished today or closed out today. So I'm distributing right now the final tabulation. I believe there were two. Is that right, Mr. Rivera?
Yes, sir. We had two proposals. This is the Steele High School band trailer action item for solicitation number 20-010. A copy of the presentation. Thank you, Dr. Gibson, for handing that out for us. This is the agenda item that's on page 155, the presentation. However, that's before you give some additional information. The recommended vendor based on our presentation was Clubhouse Trailer Company. We received two proposals. Clubhouse was responsive. The other vendor only bid on the application of graphics on the side of the van, so that wasn't actually what we were looking for. I'm sure they would do a good job, but that's not what we're looking for. Our existing van that we use at the Steele High School is over 34 years old. The estimated useful life of those vans is well under 34 years old. However, we did get some information. We went on a site visit. Mr. Leip and I believe Mr. Dieter from Steele High School went to Hayes Consolidated and went to Lehman High School and saw a recently completed van. This is exactly what we were looking for, actually. It's an old converted moving van, actually not that old, 2000 or newer, reconditioned to handle marching bands. And this company that submitted the proposal actually has been doing this for some time. And as you see some of the names there, from Wiley to Keller to McKinney to Allen to Victoria, a lot of other school districts in our area of Texas have been using them. And speaking with Wiley East, who was here recently, they were very positive about the van and they enthusiastic about what it's done. Whenever they needed any warranty calls, the company's very quick to send a SWAT team to come and take care of whatever's going on with those moving trailers. And the same comment was received from Lehman High School as well. So it's very positive about their potential for us in our district and this becoming basically a potential showpiece for our community and our
So,
district.
Mr. Rivera, even though the second one did not respond to our proposal completely, is that fair to say? The first one is within the threshold of what we thought it would cost, and they do kind of highly recommend it, and they were completely responsive to our request?
Yes, sir. I apologize. I was very excited about this proposal. They are recommended. They have good references, and their pricing is below our estimated budgeted cost.
Matt, I guess it kind of says here on the second one, but does that include the, whatever you call it, the wrap or the graphics
Yes, sir.
that's on the trailer?
It's a tax title license, if you will, total cost delivered.
And then do we ultimately allow them to put sponsor names on there as well? I mean, I know we've done it in the past.
We're going to be selecting the graphics. The other school districts didn't have sponsors on theirs, but they just had graphics for their schools, whatever they were, whether it was layman or whatever. ISD.
I'm saying, like, if ultimately the band booster parents group or whatever decides to sell placement, then.
Well, that would fall under the district's admin reg regarding advertising. I would defer to that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that would become district property, just like a school bus would. And so we would have to approve anything that would be added or taken away at some point in time.
This is being funded by the general operating fund, the
Right.
EPP, not by a booster.
Right.
Club.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what do we do with the old trailer?
I'll leave that to Mr. Lipe, what he would like to do with that. I know we can sell it.
I mean, would any huge steel fan like to buy that or something?
We auctioned the last one off, the Clemens band trailer, and I think actually Mr. Linhoff found it. Being used as storage or haste.
It is. It's on the side of the road. Mm-hmm.
Just sitting there or what?
No, it's just sitting there with weeds growing around it.
You would think it would make a scene in The Walking Dead or something, you know, they did have the old Smokey and the Bandit trailer in Walking Dead, you know, so I would wonder why ours could make The Walking Dead. Or some dead, I don't know.
There's been a motion. Can I get a motion?
Mr. President, I move the Board of Trustees approve the proposal for the provision of a band trailer for Steele High School as per solicitation number 20-010S as presented. Funds provided under the general operating budget as part of the expenditure projection plan or EPP.
I second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? I know it says there was no graphic design. When will that graphic be determined?
That's to be determined by the Steele High School Fine Arts Department in conjunction with Steele High School.
When is that? How is that process going to carry out?
They lined it out in the RFP, but there will be we can submit to them our ideas, thoughts, specific graphics, and then they have people that put it together and send us proof, and that goes back and forth until we get a design that we all agree on and sign off on, and then they have people that do the graphics before it's ever delivered.
When you say we, what type of stakeholders?
Well, I'm assuming it'll be Mr. Dieter and probably myself. We'll probably make sure that Ms. Cervantes and anybody else that might have, want to chime in
Students,
on.
parents, art department, what do we, are just?
We can talk to the campus administration.
I'm just asking it.
Yeah, if they think, that would be applicable, we certainly can.
It's really up to Mr. Dieter.
Yeah, it's really Mr. Dieter will take the lead on that, but we'll be involved too, and he won't just have free reign to put whatever he wants.
Okay, fair enough. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
I want to confirm no executive session need for you, and Matt, no okay, so it's only the board's item that's needed.
But do we still need to take a board recess right quick to sign paperwork? How much paperwork do we have? We have a few.
Would you rather them go into executive session and finish and close out the meeting, or do you want to do it that way?
That'd be fine. All right.
That's a nine.
4:10.
But ask that again in the future is what I'm hearing.
All All right, thank you very much. The board will now adjourn into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551.074, authorization to deliberate the appointment, employment evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear a complaint or charge against an officer or employee. Basically, we're going to reorg. Thank you very much. Board is now reconvened from closed session. The time is now 8:23. May I have a motion for the selection of officers and reorganization of the Board of Trustees presented by Robert Westbrook? May I have a motion?
All right, I will make a motion that we reorganize the officers of the Board of Trustees and name Amy Dreisbach as president, Jerry Perkins as vice president, Ed Finley as secretary, and Letitia Seaver as assistant secretary.
I second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? I believe this will go into effect the next regular, not in the next called board meeting, which is December 2nd. That's it. That's my understanding. Any discussion? Nope. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Motion, let me see. Yep. No planning calendar. Jerry?
In the interim, let me just say to all the hundreds of people that are here tonight and watching us on video, thank you to Robert Westbrook. We joked about last night the difference in ceremonies between the mayor of Schertz leaving his seat, and because you guys will know, or those who've done it know, being a board president is a whole different ballgame than just being a trustee. I mean, as far as the amount of time it takes and being under fire and the things you have to deal with, and I think Robert has done a great job. Unfortunately, we don't have a huge ceremony to commemorate that, but so just in short, just want to say good job.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to concur.
I second that.
Yeah,
Third that.
thank you, Robert. I think you're doing a great job. I'm going to miss you in the chair. Congratulations to our Madam President coming in. Madam President, I know you're going to have a great 2 years also. So,
Yep. Thank you very much. I think the success that I've had and enjoyed is a direct reflection on the board itself. I've had a lot to learn from Scott Hare to George Ricks, from Dave Pivito and Finley. So there's a lot of people that came before me and showed me what to do and what not to do. So I'm just lucky, and my motto was to sort of rely on others and not muck it up. So I said M with an M. So,
Oh my God.
all right, Jerry.
Okay, we have a called board meeting on the 2nd, 5:30 show. Is that correct? $5:30?
No,
Oh, wait,
what?
sorry, sorry,
No,
We need
we're
to
going to
do-
have to, for December 2nd,
Yes.
we'll have to, well, it doesn't,
We just need to know.
6. So do we need to call it in to order at 5:30? And then, okay, so 5:30.
So
For each
5:30.
of those, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 5th.
So we have called meetings on the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th, and we'll show at 5:30. And then we also have a called meeting on the 12th. That's show at 6, though. And do we have a regular board meeting in December? Is it the 19th or the 17th?
17th.
On the 17th, we have a regular board meeting. There is no chamber meeting on that day. I don't remember if Tri-County has a chamber meeting next month, and I do not recall if Northeast Partnership does.
Is there anything that anybody else wanted on next month's agenda that has not already been placed on the agenda? Nothing. Motion to adjourn? 8:27. Thank you, everybody.